Hi everybody, my name is Hayden Mahan, meteorologist here at the National Weather Service in Salt Lake City, here for your Utah water outlook as of February 2025 and what we can expect going forward into the spring runoff season. So far, precipitation across the state has been pretty minimal. Starting back in October, we did see some above normal precipitation for central Utah. However, we did see below normal precipitation for portions of northern and southern Utah. This bullseye across central Utah moved slightly further south, still missing far southwestern Utah, and still dry across northern Utah. However, going into December, we did see some better precipitation across northern Utah. We did have a series of storms between Christmas and New Year's that delivered a healthy dose of moisture to northern Utah. However, these storms missed portions of central and most of southern Utah, leaving them dry across southern Utah. And then for January, we've pretty much been dry area wide. Almost no precipitation across far southern Utah and very little for central and northern Utah. However, February, we have seen a bit more moisture across northern Utah to date, especially closer to the Idaho border. But again, almost no precipitation for central and southern Utah. Put this all together, year-to-date precipitation is below normal across the entire region, particularly across southwestern Utah, where we've seen very little to no moisture so far this water year. Now, temperatures so far for the past few months have been near normal. November and December, we saw temperatures near or slightly above normal, but then a very cold January set in. Now, this helped to keep the snowpack in the mountains, very little runoff due to the very cold temperatures we saw in January. But in terms of precipitation, we saw that storm track further north, as we typically see in a La Nina pattern. We saw many storms moving onto the Pacific Northwest coast and then moving into the northern Rockies. Very few storms impacting the desert Southwest, Southern California up through southern Utah. As you can see, much below normal precipitation across the desert Southwest. A little bit better as you go further north. In terms of our snowpack and the snow water equivalent that we do have, we're sitting about the 20th percentile for where we should be this time of year. So a few inches below normal. And that's partly to blame because we've really only had about 2 active periods of precipitation for the region. One of those in November, and then another one, like I was mentioning before, between Christmas and New Year's. And then between those, they've been long stretches, these plateaus you see in this graph. These are long stretches of dry periods that we've been dealing with so far this season. And looking at the watersheds, doing better across northern Utah. Some watersheds are near normal, such as the Raft Rivers and Uintas, but below normal for other regions. And then as you go into far southern Utah, much below normal compared to where we should be this time of year. And then looking at the West as a whole, you can see those stations across Oregon and Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, and northern portions of Utah and Colorado, dealing with near normal to above normal SWE. But as you go into the southern Sierras, Arizona, New Mexico, southern Utah, and Colorado, much below normal for where we should be this time of year. However, our reservoirs are still healthy due to the past couple of years. We had some very healthy winters the past couple of years, record-breaking winter 2 years ago, and that's leaving our reservoirs in a healthy condition. Right now, we're just a little bit behind where we were last year. If you look at the line graph, the green one showing where we are this year, the blue showing where we were last year. And those are about 20% above where we typically are this time of year, as you can see there on the orange line. And then to the right, we see our reservoirs individually, and most of them are still in healthy conditions. So that's good as we head into the spring. And as we do head into the spring, our soil moisture conditions are going to help dictate how efficient our water runs off from the mountains into these reservoirs and streams. This fall, we were seeing soil moisture conditions below normal for most portions of the area. Compare that to a year ago when soil moisture conditions were above normal in most portions of the area. And then taking the difference, you can see that we're doing worse in terms of soil moisture this year than we were last year for most of the region. And you can see that here in our basins plot that only a few central basins have near normal or slightly above normal soil moisture conditions. Everywhere else dealing with below normal soil moisture conditions. We're sitting at about the 25th percentile for soil moisture, but as we go into the runoff season, those will increase, those soil moisture conditions, as we start to deal with more snow melt. And looking at the CPC's 1 month outlook for temperatures, kind of a mixed signal across central and northern Utah, with slight chances of above normal temperatures across southern Utah near the Four Corners region. And for monthly precipitation in February, that storm track remaining to the north across far northern Utah into the Pacific Northwest. And for the 3 month outlook, temperatures looking similar to the 1 month outlook, with precipitation favoring slight chances for drier conditions. In terms of drought, we have seen drought expand, particularly across southwestern Utah, severe drought in southwestern Utah, with moderate drought conditions expanding into western and northern Utah. And looking at the seasonal outlook through the end of April, expect those drought conditions to persist across southwestern Utah, with drought removal likely across portions of northern Utah. And that's going to do it for our February edition of the Utah Water Outlook. We will have another one in March and in April, but if you have any questions, please reach out to myself, Glenn Merrill, or Julie Cunningham at our email and our phone number below.